is Tuesday, November the 10th. I am your host, Casey Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. All right. I don't even know where to start at. Today's been interesting. It's been interesting in a good way. I'm finally getting my wits back. So I have my tea. I made my tea like 45 minutes before I started recording. Usually I like for it to set for at least a few hours. But I was just like, let me just go ahead and do it. So it's not as cold as I would like for it to be. But first world problems. I got I had 2 deliveries today. So finally, luck just so had it. The universe put me in the right place at the right time. So this is what happened. I had 2 things shipped from Amazon. Amazon used UPS for one of the packages, which that was fine. It came earlier. And because it was in a large box, I had to take everything out. And then which that was the one that UPS brought. And then after I took it out of the box, I was like, okay, I'm going to throw this away because you can't see it right now, but my apartment, it looks like a war zone. And I have my work cut out for me this weekend because I have stuff everywhere because so many things have been coming and going. And I really, really, really need to get organized, which is a show in itself. Organization. It's a beautiful thing. But I got the box and all the contents that I didn't need. And I was on my way downstairs. And the Amazon guy was leaving the package at the wrong door because this has happened before. And I'm like, I called out my apartment number. And then he's like, yeah. I said, that's not the apartment number. And he's like, oh, I thought that the one of the numbers had fallen down. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting assumption because there are several other numbers that could have fallen down too if you go by that assumption, which still wouldn't guarantee that it's the right number. So the best thing to do would be to walk the hall to make sure that the number on the package isn't on one of the doors as you walk down the hall and survey the hall. But not everybody thinks like I think. So I was just like, no, that's not it. That door is a special case. I'm like, no, my door is here. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, just hand me the package, please. And he handed me the package. And I took the package with me as I had this big box in my right hand. Because I had the package in my left hand. I had the big box in my right hand. My blue jeans are falling down because I didn't put on a belt. And I'm walking downstairs. And then, of course, he goes ahead and he leaves. And I throw the box in the trash can and then come back in and open the package, in which it was some speakers. I got some speakers for my laptop because my laptop speaker, when I told you guys that I bought another laptop because I had to work on it for business reasons, to do business stuff, obviously the show and everything else. But the sound on this laptop, as amazing as it is, the sound is not good. As amazing as the laptop is, I love the laptop. So yeah. So I went ahead and bought some speakers to go with it. And now I have those, and I finally figured out how to get those to work. And also, my package that came back was a printer, which I'll just go ahead and tell you the story. I bought an HP because usually I'm pretty good with HP. HP and we get along somewhat well. And the printer that I bought it while Mercury was in retrograde. And for those who don't know, they say try your best not to buy things when Mercury is in retrograde, like electronics. Try your best not to sign contracts, this and that, because more than likely you'll have to revisit it and something will go wrong. And at the time when I was at Wally World, I not only wanted, I needed another printer. So I was just like, I'm just going to go ahead and get it. And in the back of my mind, it said a little bit, Mercury's in retrograde. And I'm like, oh, well, and it was the only printer left, which I think I told you guys that. But this happened a few weeks ago. It was the only printer left at the time because I was looking around and I asked her, I'm like, you don't have any other printers? And she's like, no, that's the only one left. And it was more than what I wanted to pay. But for convenience, I just was like, fine, whatever. And then I bought it. And I even bought the little warranty and everything too. So the printer it had set on the floor, which grammar lesson, English lesson, if it cannot move by itself, it is not sit, it is set. S-E-T. So I let it set on the floor because it can't move by itself. So grammar lesson, 'cause I know some people like sit it on the floor. You can't sit it on the floor. You set it on the floor. Anyways, so it's set on the floor, S-E-T, and I didn't open it. I have to take a sip of this tea. I didn't open it for a while because I was wrapped up in other projects and handling other things, and I never made it a priority because there were other things I wanted to get in place and have that set up. Plus, Mercury was in retrograde. So I was like, okay, what I had bought the printer for, I didn't want to start that project, the main project, until Mercury was out of retrograde, which it is now, because it came out on the 4th and the after effects is still lingering, but it'll more than likely be fully out by the 14th, give or take. All right. So I finally set up that printer that I bought from Wally World. And I'll be damned, that printer did not print. It print, but the ink didn't work. The black ink didn't work. So I was like, okay, do I want to buy another ink cartridge? Do I want to use the warranty to send this damn thing off and have to wait for it to be, do its thing or whatever? Or do I just want to chuck it and not care? So I was like, okay, executive decision. What's going on here? So what I did, I went on Amazon and purchased a totally different printer. And I got me a laser printer instead this time, because that one was the inkjet that I got with the HP. It was a nice inkjet, but I was just like, you know what? Let me try something new. Because I've never had a laser printer before. So went ahead, bought the laser printer. I got a Canon and did that. And I literally set it up probably about an hour or two before I started recording the show. Everything worked perfectly. I did test printing, so I'm good to go. And now I can start working on my little project tomorrow. So I'm happy about that. And now I'm not as dizzy as I was yesterday, which that was happening yesterday too, because I didn't eat much for lunch yesterday. I didn't know that it was going to affect me as much as it did, which now I plan to, which I ate a larger lunch today, and I ate breakfast early this morning, and then I'm going to eat a large salad tonight and do that. And hopefully that'll get me back to where I was, because I hadn't really had any dizzy spells for almost 3 or 4 days in a row, which is good. And I'm thankful for that, just like I'm thankful for another day. So that's where I'm at now. All right. And with my team. So now that you have the whole rundown on some of the side things that have been happening today, I can go ahead and get into the actual daily thought. Okay. Waiting to strike. I did an episode, maybe, I want to say a month ago, possibly. It was patience and moderation, where it's okay to wait, but don't stay there, you know, in perpetuity. And one thing about that, and then also the other episode I did, Don't Miss the Signs, it's sort of like we're taking both of those and combining them into this daily thought, Waiting to Strike. And the reason I think about that is because I remember, because everyone knows I like snakes. I was thinking about when I was watching this, I didn't want to say, not biography, what's the word? Not nature show, even though it could be called a nature show. It's another term, it's not coming to me right now, but the National Geographic type stuff, all of those things. So I was watching one of those, and it was showing this viper. And I forgot which viper it was, which, by the way, for snakes, those are the ones that have the attitude problem. For the most part, snakes are misunderstood. A lot of snakes are usually docile, and if they bite, it's because they're scared. But vipers, they have a serious attitude problem. But that's just my personal opinion from what I've seen. But I digress. Whatever viper it was, the viper was waiting for its prey to come by. And what the narrator, I guess you could call him, was saying as he was telling the story and everything, he was saying that sometimes the viper was willing to wait a week or 2 weeks in the same spot and would not move an inch because the viper wants to blend in with the environment, and it doesn't want to startle its prey, and it's waiting for the right opportunity to go in and strike and do that. And then finally it caught something, and obviously it showed it eating it and all that other stuff. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying waiting to strike. This is a combination of don't miss the signs and also a combination of patience. But not everything is patience. As I mentioned, patience and moderation. Waiting to strike, this is where, when I talk about discernment a lot, building up that radar, and like I said, that radar is something that you have to develop over time. And I've said this before. When it comes to discernment, it's something you have to develop over time. It's not something that will always come to you. Now, sometimes it may naturally come to you because that's just how the universe works with people at times. But there are other times where it may not be. Hold on, I gotta take another sip. Okay. It may not be natural. You just have to pay attention to things. You have to be aware of your environment. And then based off of what you survey, what you notice, you have to take that information, dump it into your review pool, and then determine, okay, what is the best action? Should I stay still, or is something coming up where I'll have a chance to strike? And by strike, looking for opportunity. And that's what I'm talking about, looking for the right moment to seize the opportunity that comes in front of you. And again, that's why I said this is sort of a combination of don't miss the signs, because obviously you have to be aware of the signs. And then this is also a thing of being patient, because you have to wait and observe and take in all the information and everything and see if it is to your benefit to go ahead and strike. You don't want to strike at everything that comes in front of you. If a snake were to strike all the time, as a matter of fact, with the mongoose and the king cobra, one way that the mongoose catches the king cobra, not only because the venom doesn't have much effect on the mongoose, because I forgot, it's some ridiculous amount of times the mongoose can get bitten. I want to say it's like over 100 times or something. But one other plan of action that the mongoose does, and also other animals that catch snakes do, is they try to get the snake to overexert itself, where the snake tries to strike out and bite every single time. And if the bite misses, whether the snake is venomous or not, if the strike misses, then that's extra energy that could have been conserved. So if you're out there and you're waiting to strike, but you're not paying attention to the things around you, you're not using discernment to determine, is this the right opportunity for me to strike at? And you're striking at every single thing that comes in front of you, then you're overexerting yourself. And when the right thing that is for you comes in front of you, you may not even have the energy to strike. So there's a lot of things at play. But waiting to strike, that is where a lot of discernment comes in. And not just on opportunity. I mean, even strategically, where some people or someone or something may have a nefarious intent when it comes to you, where their actions are not going to be to your benefit. And you might have a feeling, but you're not sure. But you wait to see and then determine the right moment to get in and strike to sort of circumvent whatever they were planning or trying. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying waiting to strike on that, because that can be used. As a matter of fact, there was an example of that in Gladiator, the movie Gladiator, when what was his name? Was it Cornelius or whatever? Anyway, the emperor, the one who killed his father, Marcus Aurelius, and he had killed his father, and then there were rumors that people were working to overthrow him after all this had happened. And then one of his advisors had told the story about this sea snake that would let its prey nip at it and continue biting it, and it would act as if it was, dead or whatever. And then at the right moment where the prey believes that it's dead and it's nipping at it, then the snake would turn around and strike and bite. So that's what I'm talking about on the nefarious end of things. But in life, looking for opportunities, being aware of opportunities, waiting for that right opportunity, waiting to strike, you have to be aware and you have to be willing to wait. Because as I said before, the snake would wait in the same exact spot, wouldn't move an inch for days or weeks to blend in, waiting for the prey, the right moment to come by, and then strike and grab it. And I'm not saying wait in perpetuity, because you have to know when to move, but also you have to know when to stay still as well. And being aware of things, of your environment, of what's around you, that will give you more hints. That's where discernment comes in on whether to move or to go. But that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying waiting to strike. So yeah, that's kind of all I have on that. That's sort of my thing. I'm looking here because I want to know what next week or this coming weekend will be. So for those of you who are watching, I'm looking at my computer screen because I'm curious because it was sports last weekend. Oh, wow. So this weekend, I guess I'm doing an album review. I don't know of who. But yeah, okay. I guess I'm doing an album review, is what I'm doing. I forgot, and I didn't write what album I did last time. Usually I write it in my notes. See? Organization. Should have had that. But yeah, I'm doing an album review. I know I did an album review of Lil' Kim. I don't know what album review I'll do this weekend. I'll figure out something. I'm really mellow right now. So I'm chilling. But yeah, that's all I got.